Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 6 after 8 o'clock. Exactly a year ago on this day, the 25th of October 2022, the Sudanese military, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, took control of the government in a coup. Some top government officials, including civilian Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, were initially detained for their refusal to declare support for the coup. So let's understand what has happened exactly a year on. The coalition government that was formed shortly after the coup, this to appease international governments, and what is in fact the situation of the Sudanese people. Assalamu alaikum to you, Shakoor Nyaketo. You are a revolution journalist based in Sudan. Welcome to the show. We do appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Salam Radio, for this invitation.
Okay, where are we now? The anniversary of the military coup in Sudan, the first anniversary. Has the situation changed at all, improved perhaps for the Sudanese people? And what about all the political unrest that's bubbling just under the surface? What do you believe is going to be happening now?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. You know, if we look at the 25th October 2021, it's exactly the same of 25th October 2022 today, if it is not worse. But in terms of political situation, the situation is actually worsening ever since the coup has been, has been declared the last year. And the military has taken over the country for 1 year, and it has not been very successful coup, has been very successful military, because the same day Al Burhan announced the change, they said that they are going to form a civilian government in just 10 days, and until today the government has not been formed. But the people were waiting. Also, the political parties. Sudan has a very big number of political parties who have been arguing for 1 year. They cannot come together for a common ground, and they cannot even form a one coalition that can actually lead the country. We know that Juba peace agreement has given full mandate and given open opportunity to all political parties and armed movement to come together to agree, but they did not agree. And the political situation actually telling us that there is now any hope for any agreement, or for any way that these political parties can come together. They joined together some political parties, and afterward they have also separated into two. And later on, everyone is going alone, and they could not come together. So the situation right now is very chaotic, and it leads to no any expectation of good thing. And today, people are expecting a very big revolution. It's called 25th October 1 million man march. So there is a very big march today will happen, as people are preparing for it. And now we are expecting only one thing, that the day will pass as the first 25th October 21 has passed, and there is nothing much will be done from the political side.
Okay, we do know that the current political situation is very, very dire. We also know that it can be traced to the fall of the former Omar al-Bashir's National Congress Party government in 2019, which brought an end to 30 years of authoritarian rule and also ushered in supposedly a civilian military power sharing administration, but you are saying that it hasn't worked. And the military faction was headed by Al Burhan, while Abdullah Hamdok presided as a civilian prime minister. They had agreed to this coalition. It hasn't worked. You are suggesting things are getting worse by the day. What do you believe this 1 million people march is going to achieve today in Sudan?
Well, if we looked at the way how Hamdog was performing and managing, it was it was very hopeful and very fantastic. And the government that has been formed by Hamdok was doing its best. But after Hamdok resigned, then people confused who will come to lead. And the political parties, until today, they cannot agree on one common person or popular person that everyone agrees on. So today, March is that um, there is no very much expectation out, but the 1 million march today has also three slogans: that there is no partnership with the military, and there is no compromise, and there is no negotiation. With these very blocking three slogans, we understand that the million march will not lead to a point, because there is no clear objective of what the revolution is going to do, and what is it? It seems like exactly the same of Al Bashir's time. People were all agreed to remove Al Bashir and to oust President Al Bashir and his regime. Of course, it has been ousted and it has been removed from the government. But later on, there has not been clear vision and roadmap. As well as today, people are going to remove Burhan, but if they remove Al Burhan today, whom are they going to negotiate and talk to? And who will come over? Again, the political parties will come over, and they think that they would want to form. So I believe that the resistance committee of Sudan, they have somehow developed a very good document that they are talking about the authority to the people, and they're talking about taking the power from Al Burhan and give it to the people. But there is no clear mechanism and clear vision of how that government should be taken from the military to the people. So we're expecting a day to pass as a normal march and protest day, if because revolutionaries are out the street, and political parties are fighting inside their offices. So there is no any way that we can see very clear vision.
And very sadly, we have to hope and pray that the march goes on without any incidents, because Salma El Khazin, a surgeon at Khartoum's private care Royal Hospital, has said many of the victims of brutality, obviously the revolutionaries, the young freedom fighters, are being treated at the hospital. These are people who are fighting for their rights. But she's also saying, she goes on to say that it's heartbreaking to see those young people, the ones that have been killed, asking for what's rightfully theirs, for a free country with a civilian government. So on the flip side, you're having this as well. The economic situation undoubtedly is very, very dire indeed. And if the situation is not resolved, Sudan is going to see mass migration of its people. There's going to be a lot of displaced people trying to leave the country and go and live elsewhere. Um, are the young people, we know they are protesting, we know that they're being killed in the process, but what is going to bring relief to these young people, to the people of Sudan? Who's going to hear them, and what is the best solution going forward?
Now, the only solution going forward is that um, the military should hand over government to the civilians and immediately allow the people to form a civilian technocrat government. And there's also another problem, that these young revolutionaries who are dying on the street every day, they do not trust political parties, and because they have seen how political parties have been performing and acting, so they don't actually trust them. There is only one solution, that this government should be handed to the civilian and formed from technocrats that who serve no any party. And also civil society leaders and civil organization, community organization leaders should also come in to deliver a very good solution. And also, if Burhan and his crew right now sort of understanding what the young people want, they can actually solve the problem. Because right now, the young people do not have problem with Al Burhan being the leader of the military. They do not have problem of Al Burhan being part of the government, but they have problem that the government is actually led by military, and the military, we know that the economic downgrading is in a continuous, and the situation now is worsening than the last year, and the number of people who were killed since 2021, 25th October, until today are more than the people who were killed 2019 to 2021 during the revolution against al-Bashir. This is aggravating the young people more, and I am expecting more killing. I'm expecting more loss of young people if Al-Burhan continuously governing the government, and the one thing is that I believe that these young people will not go back. They will not rest. Otherwise, they must be all shot dead, or the government is given to the civilian people.
What about, okay, a few more questions for you before we wrap up. Let's take an ad break. Please don't go away. We do have one or two very important questions that we need to pose to you regarding the first anniversary today, the 25th of October 2022, the first anniversary of the Sudanese military coup.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After
will
all
be
these
ending
years,
this
I've
interview
come
in
to
the next
appreciate
2-3
wisdom
minutes. Eh?
in finding comfort
This
and
interview will
shifa in
end in the
trusted
next.
treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Devastating floods in Pakistan have washed away villages, claimed the lives of more than 1,000 people, damaged nearly 1 million homes, and left over 33 million people in desperate need of help. As the catastrophe unfolds, Islamic Relief is on the ground, reaching people with life-saving aid. Our team are working tirelessly to deliver food and shelter. Your support is urgently needed now to help save more lives. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:21 a.m. News and views right here on Salam Media. We are talking with Shakoor Nyaketo, revolution journalist based in Sudan. Welcome back to you. Assalamu alaikum, Shakoor. And Alhamdulillah, I know that when my producer Nasreen was setting up this interview yesterday, you indicated to her that one of the tricks that the military government does use is to try and shut off the rest of the world to Sudan and vice versa by shutting off electricity and media information from trickling in and going out of Sudan. So we're very fortunate that we are able to carry on this interview, Alhamdulillah, so far uninterrupted.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the situation around, obviously, huge impact. We've spoken about the humanitarian impacts on the young people of Sudan. That doesn't mean that the older people are not suffering the consequences. I should imagine business as we know it has come to a standstill, and there's an issue around food security and trying to work. I guess everything has come to a standstill. How do people even manage to try and eke out a living or put a bit of food on the table?
Actually, it has been very much difficult, and it has been economically difficult for the people to live because, for example, last year, I rent an apartment with 30,000 SDG. Today, the same apartment I pay 150. This is just living, and everything has not doubled but tripled the price. And there is no work for young people to get, and the jobs are the same, salaries are not actually enough, but everything keeps rising. The price is getting so much. Now the people now are barely to put food in the table because there is no income, and people are suffering how to live from hand to mouth, and the education cost has become very much expensive. A very big number of the school boys and school children are right now out of the school because they cannot go. Their family cannot actually afford to pay. That's a very big challenge right now to the people. And 60% of Sudanese people are under the line of poverty, if not more. And those people who are living in Khartoum, they live day to day. If they did not work this day in the morning, in the evening, cannot actually put food on the table to the children. Today, you see the number of beggars on the street is very much, and people are suffering actually to live. Also, the services are very, very down. There is no very good service in terms of electricity. Electricity has to go out every day about 4 to 5 hours and then come back. These are the places in the city center of Khartoum, let alone the villages and the areas that outside Khartoum. Regarding the communication is very expensive, but when there is a protest, they're actually shutting down the internet and sometimes shutting down the local phone calls or the landlines. And today, at 1 o'clock, there will be a massive protest, which is the 25th of October, March. And we're expecting the phone calls to go down and also the internet to be shut down very soon, anytime from now.
Okay, last year when the military and the civilian governments were signing that coalition deal, Abdullah Hamdok had said, and I quote him, "Sudanese blood is precious. Let us stop the bloodshed and direct the youth's energy into building and development." And I think that was absolutely priceless. And it's really very important to harness the energy of the youth. We're hoping that this will become a slogan for the young people in Sudan, and to think and reflect about how to rebuild Sudan once you reach, you go back to civilian rule. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we're praying for a positive outcome. That's my one statement. The other issue is emergency humanitarian aid reaching the people, or is the country way too much in turmoil for even foreign aid to come into the country?
Well, people are living by the hope of Hamdok that left last year. And it is because of what Hamdok was saying that people should treasure the blood of the Sudanese, especially young people. But the security forces are actually, in continuous basis, they attack the civilians when the civilians, young people are marching. This has actually, given a very bad situation of the humanitarian situation right now in the Sudan. But now the insecurity not only in the capital, we have currently we speak there are two areas that having a tribal conflict in West Kordofan and the Blue Nile. Maybe you have heard of that. Just as we speak, there is a
Yes.
very much emergency situation in the Blue Nile. More than 108 people were killed in a tribal conflict. But people also analyze that this is not only tribal or ethnic conflict; it's a political conflict. There are some politicians behind this, and the security in the Blue Nile is completely out of control. Yesterday, they've announced the emergency, state of emergency, and they have announced curfew, and they have started to, control the situation. But people are actually in a very big number of, displacement. As we speak, more thousands of people are displaced today in the Blue Nile state. So there is a very much insecurity going on in Sudan, as the military and the security forces actually couldn't control most of the areas and to provide security at least to the people who live one day without fear.
And then, in closing, finally, let's look at the issue around Southern Sudan. Is that situation completely far removed from what is currently happening in Sudan itself? Do you think that eventually people that want to run away from the violence, want to get away from this very, very tenuous situation in Sudan itself, would then go to Southern Sudan? How's that going to be received? Or are they just using and keeping a very neutral stance, watching from afar as to what is unfolding in Sudan proper?
Well, whatever happening in Sudan, if it did not happen in South Sudan, can actually affect the South Sudan, because these two countries are still one country by perspective or another. It's just that the political border has been separated. But as we speak, those families who are suffering in the border between South Sudan and Sudan, they are actually sharing the same destiny, because everything is connected, the life is connected, the services and everything is together. So unless the South Sudanese government is thinking to learn the lesson of how insecurity and humanitarian situation is actually affecting the both countries, then they can put a clear plan for how they protect this conflict not to be transformed and not to affect the citizens in the neighboring country, South Sudan. But as we speak right now, the people in the border, especially people in Sudan border, they are really suffering a lot. And now the South Sudanese are asking Sudanese to come to peace, are mediating between the Sudanese political parties to come together and have one vision. And this has just, led us to the humanitarian situation that you have talked about. There is no much aid that coming from somewhere to help to support the Sudanese people. Sometimes there are some local organizations and non-governmental organizations. They come and provide some medicine to the people. And the people in Lagawa, West Kordofan, there is a lack of medical service right now, the place where people are displaced. So the situation is very fragile right now, but we are hoping that this 25th October march can actually put pressure on Al-Burhan and give him a chance to think of forming any kind of civilian government that can lead the country or at least keep up the situation to the election.
Shakoor Nyaketo, thank you indeed for being with us on the show this morning. Shakoor is a revolution journalist based in Sudan, talking about the first anniversary since the Sudanese military coup. Go well. Allah keep you and all the Sudanese safe, inshallah. Salaam alaikum to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Salam Radio, for welcoming me, and thank you very much for the opportunity to view Sudan after 1 year of military coup on 25th October. Thank you so much.